But all right, let's get into it. We're gonna have a pretty good day in front of us. So first off, thank you guys for coming. I know we set out to have a list of 30 people. We have 3 here. I will take it. This is our first workshop ever. We intend to have a lot more. The big picture goal is we have a workshop like once a month at our minimum, and a charity workout where you can bring anybody in once a week or once a month as well. So hopefully like 2 Saturdays out of the month, you're able to come in, learn a little bit, work out with somebody that maybe isn't a member with us or not on the challenge or anything like that. So that's what you guys have to look forward to the future. And as me and Sean go more full-time into the business, the goal is that the level of service you've had so far is the worst that it will ever be, because we intend to only get better with everything we do. Which is a really weird thing to say out loud, because I hope that you guys have not had a bad experience yet. But yes, so this is, again, our first workshop. Let's get into it. So this is the Train Smarter for a Healthier and Better You. The entire goal of this presentation, this workshop, is to really understand the reason why we do everything the way that we do and how that's going to benefit you a lot. I know that I've been a little secretive, I guess, is the way to put it, when it comes to, okay, why are we doing these things besides it just, working on your fitness goals. There's a lot of detail and definition in every single way that we program and every single way that we go about coaching you guys. And this is to give you clarity on that. So some of it might sound super repetitive. Some of it might ring a bell and you're like, okay, I understand what they were talking about in the first place, right? So the goal right here is to unlock your potential through what we think is our unique approach to health and wellness, and join us as we reveal some of the science behind our philosophies and sustainable fitness results, all right? And I would like to say that Monica is an outstanding example of this. All right, so welcome to this workshop. So today's journey, we're pretty thrilled to teach you guys about our philosophy, the way that we go about stuff. As me and Sean have both mentioned before, I am the head of the programming, the workouts, and all that stuff. So if you're in here crying, I don't apologize, but I understand. And so our promise is by the end of this workshop, by the end of this session, you'll understand why we do what we do and how that should deliver you results, all right? I think everybody in this room has gotten results in some way or another, and you should be proud of yourself for that. That doesn't come easy. I don't know if you've been somewhere else before and tried something out and maybe not gotten what you wanted out of it. So if you're getting a good result here, I'm pretty stoked, because that's everything that we risk our reputation on, is getting you guys across that finish line, whatever that may be. So we're going to go into this bit by bit. The first thing that we're going to do is try to understand our why, right? Now, it's really easy for me to just tell you guys, you're just going to squat, you're going to run, you're going to sprint. Like, show of hands, who thought when they signed up for this, they were going to be doing like half kneeling wall sprints, like on repeats, like back to back? It's not what you signed up for? It's not what you thought? That's all right. That's oh, so it's a little different than probably what you were expecting, right? And that's all right. That's the big reason why I don't want to scare you guys and front load you guys in the beginning by saying, hey, we're going to do this, 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 and this. We're going to train like this, because it might psych you out, right? A big part of this is that you're able to believe in the process and believe in yourself as you go through it, right? So we're going to go into a deep dive into core training philosophies, right? Start to discover the science a little bit about why we do the things, how they work, how they function, so you can have a better version of yourself. And if you have any questions throughout it, on the very last slide, that's where we're going to open up, have a conversation, and I'll answer any questions that you guys have, all right? So the power movement principles, I really want to do an emphasis on this. I know the power phase, the first block of our workout, is probably very different, right? Especially if you've been to, let's say, some like HIIT type boot camps, or Pilates or any of those other stuff. Like power phase of where we're lifting really heavy, we're doing explosive movements like our box jumps and our sprints and that stuff. That's very different from the typical style of training of just, quote unquote fat burning, right? And so why that's super important, and I believe that everybody should be doing it regardless of what age you are, what ailments, anything like that, why I think everybody should be doing it. And then of course the logic behind our unique approach. It'd be super easy just to be like, hey, how do I think of the hardest workout possible for you guys day in and day out, and then just hammer you guys every single day with something? Because trust me, the easy, lazy way is like, we're going to do sled pushes every day. I'm sure you guys would be pretty happy if that was the case. You don't want to do sled pushes every day? I think it looked like you enjoy them.
They're better than plate pushes.
We can do that too. Well, I honestly, plate pushes to me, they feel miserable. I just...
Girl.
This is the wrong group to say that.
Okay, guys, when I hit 30, that's when I kicked in. Okay, I'm 32 now, so you can imagine.
Okay, girl. On Monday, I hit 50. I'm still doing it. Don't tell me you're
I'm
old.
going for it.
You're ready to settle to your best time. 40s were the best. Yeah, I will not.
I don't know what to tell you. But, all right.
I'm like thinking everything that happened was different 30.
Well, that's the thing, right? That's the thing is like once after high school typically is a really big drop off of when you're active, right? There's a really big argument of after college, like, oh, everybody like has heard of the freshman 15 or whatever. And the argument is like, oh, after you get out of high school, your metabolism slows down and then all of a sudden you gain weight and stuff like that. Realistically is you're probably not doing a whole lot after high school. High school, you have mandatory PE. You're walking from class to class. You're doing all this stuff like every single day. You're there eight hours a day, if not a little bit more, on top of if you're a student athlete. So you're moving. You're with your friends for the first time with freedom. So you're driving around doing a bunch of reckless stuff. I never did that, of course, but you know, to each their own. Oh, trust me, she knew. It wasn't a good time, but you know, we're here now, so things turned out all right. But after that, after college, after you start to move on to the second phase of your life of like being an adult and that stuff, we just tend to slow down with our activity. We're not moving as much. We're not just doing recreational sports. We're not meeting our friends at a lunch table or stuff like that, standing up, walking around. So all of that changes. Like I remember in high school, you would just take laps because it was the only thing to do, right? You're just walking around. And you're accidentally taking like 15,000 steps a day. And then we graduate, we move on, and we're at like 5,000. So what we want to do is make sure that as we grow, as we age and stuff like that, we can age beautifully, right? Start to limber up, start to move better. And that's all part of our program. What we want to do. I think a cool thing. I think I messaged you yesterday where it was like fit, functional, and 50. That's the goal.
That's what we talked about in the morning.
Yeah, fit, functional, and 50. That's what we want for everybody across the board, right? To reach that age and always be good. High level goal that I'd love for every single person that comes in here is to be the best grandparent on the planet. Because my vision is once you reach like 60, 65, 70, I don't want you hunched over, like barely moving. I want you to feel good. I want you to be able to play with your grandchildren, have all that fun and all that stuff. So, yeah. And that goes into our core philosophies of train smarter and harder. I think we've all heard the adage where it's like, work smarter, not harder. It's like, cool, but if you want to go farther and make more progress in whatever you're doing, do both. Work hard and work smart, right? And that's what we're doing here. Now, we're going to go over the reason why I only want you guys in here 3 times a week. I know that's been kind of like a point of contention with some people, or they're like, I want to come in more. I understand it. I hear it. Trust me. I absolutely love that. But I have a couple stories for you of why we can still do everything that we need to and then add more fun on top of it. I'd rather you guys have hobbies than have the gym be your entire personality, because you're probably not signed up to be in here for that to be the case, right? Maybe you end up that way. Maybe you end up working for us. I don't know. We'll see. But that's a question for the future. So we're going to go beyond just working out, right? So we apply the athletics training principles designed for everyone. Our methods work regardless of your current fitness level, right? Doesn't matter where you come from. Doesn't matter where you start. Doesn't matter who you are, your age, none of that stuff. We work with you, right? And I think this is actually a pretty good spread of people to show that that is in fact the case. The universal benefits, our approach drives fat loss, improves body composition, and enhances overall health simultaneously. The goal isn't just to lose weight as quick as possible, right? We don't want you guys to come in here and in like 6 months just look super sunken in and like just not feeling great, right? We want you to really fill in where we need to, feel strong, feel confident, like super heavy emphasis on that confidence, right? And then efficiency focus, like we eliminate a lot of the wasted effort in here. Like we maximize your results by periodizing like the program. And all periodizing is like a pretty big word when it comes to the way that we program. All that means is the way that we schedule things so that they compound into one another, right? So we're always going up, 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 and trying to make progress, right? Now, show of hands in here, who has just like ever gone to, let's say, we're not bashing on any of these, but who's ever gone to just like a Planet Fitness or an InShape or something like that, and you just go like, 4 or 5 days a week, you show up, you kind of do something, you're just like, I don't know, I'm here, which is a good step, but I'm not actually like here, So you end up being in there. You're probably there 5-6 times a week. You're there for an hour maybe each time, if not a little more, a little less. So there goes like 6 hours of your week right there. And you really don't have anything to show for it, right? So we want you to be able to cut that time in half, if not a little more, and get literally 100 times the results as we go through it, right? So that's where the accountability portion goes in. This is the difference maker, right? And this is where I want to take a second to maybe get a little serious with you guys, right? Because we want you to consider us in the same way that you would like your doctors. Now, we're not medical professionals. That's on camera. I'm not a doctor. I can't give you advice like that. Sean has his degree. He has a little bit more mobility in what he can do, but we're not medical professionals, right? But the same principle of like, if you lie to your doctor, you're not going to get better. So the same happens with us. We get it. At times, we may be embarrassed. At times, even feel like a little bit of guilt or shame to be like, this is what happened. But all of those emotions just stall the process, right? Because if you're saying, you're just like, I don't know why I'm not losing weight, or I don't know why I'm not getting stronger. It's like, okay, cool. Like, is anything going wrong? It's like, no, I'm eating all my food. I'm drinking all my water. It's this. But you know for a fact, come 11 o'clock at night, you're like a fucking gremlin. You're going in the cabinet, eating all the chips and everything. That's not, I was like, we need to know that, right? Because, yeah, if you're a late night snacker, ideally in a perfect world, it's like, hey, we just cut that out. We say no to it, right? But you guys are also people, right? We have the human condition. So we need to make sure, okay, if you're going to snack at 11 o'clock at night, here are some snacks to have. I know Sean already has given that to like a handful of people of where here's the differences we can make. And then also your effort level. I'm sure I've come up to like each of you at some point and just like looked at your face and be like, you can do more. Like not even look at the weight. It's like we listen to your body language. We listen to what you say. We listen to the way that you come in the door and how you feel, right? All of those things are going to tell us where you are currently in this space right now. And your honesty, your ability to say how you're feeling, what's actually going on, that's going to be the difference between making like, let's say that your goal is 10 pounds. We're just going to throw a number out there, right? That's the difference between spending, 2 months, 8 weeks and getting to 6 pounds and be like, you know what? I was all right. Like I tried, I did that. And then getting to the difference between that and then getting to 8 weeks and being 100% on top of your stuff, being truthful, being open, being honest, having those conversations, right? Without them having to be like dragged out of you and being like, I killed it. I got 10 pounds. I got more than that actually. And on top of that, all my lifts went up. Or I go home and like it doesn't, like I can tie my shoe and I feel good, right? Those are what we want to go after. But I understand it gets difficult at times to really say what's happening. And so that's why we also want to create a pretty safe and open space and why we try to have that one-on-one time with you guys to make sure that you can get everything you want, right? And that's the absolute foundation of everything that we do here, right? Is the accountability. And so how we have it on this pyramid right here is like the base level, the minimum effective dose for this is your weekly check-ins. We check in with you. You weigh in. Sometimes that's a shocker. Sometimes it's not the best conversation in the world, right? But we do those check-ins and it gives you a moment to say, okay, how does this number make you feel? Let's not make it bigger than it has to be, right? A bigger deal than it has to be, but let's really figure out where are the emotions here? What are we feeling, right? What's going on? And then once we go from there, that opens up to the next thing where we have the kind, not nice coaching. I think, Monica, you've probably gotten the most out of me when it comes to this. I've mentioned it at the end of a session before. If you worked out here, the kind, not nice mentality that we have, right, is maybe this has happened to you at work, maybe with family, maybe in another facility, whatever, where you have a lot of cheerleaders. They're like, no, you're doing fine. Like, don't worry about it. You're doing good. Like, I see you working. That's all right. Cool. Like, congratulations. It's like, that is just being nice, right? And the reality is, if we're just cheering you on, we're not going to get too far, right? And so that's where we step in. And sometimes it might be a little blunt. Sometimes it might be a little like in your face at a moment. But if we feel like it's the right time and that's what you need, that's where we go. We'll tell you the truth of like, hey, this is what's not happening. If you come to us and you're saying, hey, like, I want to lose weight. I'm having a really tough time. I don't know what's happening. But like my food, I'm not going to track it. I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to do it. Like I'm not going to look at my food. Like I don't want to change that. Like the reality is we will come to you and say the exact thing that I'm going to say right now. And say, that's cool. Like you're okay with not changing. Like if that's what you want to not change at all, then keep on doing those habits, right? But as your coach, our responsibility is to let you know that we don't want you to be stuck. We want you to be able to make progress. And that requires change, right? And change sucks. Change is not the most fun thing in the world. I think it's like, I forget what it is. It's like like the top 5 fears, change is one of them. Just like whether it's a change in job, change in what you're doing. But this new version of yourself that we're trying to etch out right here requires a lot of change of your old self, right? There's that saying that's like, in order to become the new you, you have to kill the old you, right? And that comes through a lot of tough conversations. It's not an easy process. A good chunk of the time, it's not a fun process, but that's facing the reality so that we can get what we want out of it, right? And that comes with some tough conversations. So being okay with those tough conversations is a huge part of our program, right? Because I'm sure if I came to you and just every single time I'm like, you're doing fine. I don't know why things aren't going the way we want it to go. But you're doing fine. Let's keep on going. Exactly. Like, we don't want you to leave here and be like, they're bullshitting me. Like, so we have that on top of it, right? And then the last thing is like, once we get those things, we're consistent with our dialogue. We're consistent with our conversations. We're consistent with having those tough conversations. Like the results will come, like 100%, right? And that requires 100% commitment on our part as your coaches and 100% commitment on your part as the clients, right? And so, like, can I get your guys' commitment today that we can have that open conversation as we go forward?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Oh, I've gotten the hint. I've gotten the hint. Like I say, we have a very vocal client base. I love it though, right? So, like I said, in the bottom of this, it's like accountability isn't just a feature of the program, like it is everything, right? And then likewise, if you feel like for whatever reason, you're like, I really feel like you guys aren't telling me how it is, bring it to us, right? It's a two-way street, and we're always going to take feedback and make sure that if you feel like service is not exactly where you think it should be, that we raise our standards and get better. Now, let's look at one of our client journeys, Nicole, who I think she was actually supposed to be here, but I asked her for permission. She said, okay. So Nicole has a past of just like riddled with injuries. And I remember when I sat down with her for the first time and like heard everything, even I was like, for a second, I was like, this is going to be a little tough. Like this is going to be, we're going to have to figure out how to move. We're going to figure out how to get all these things in order. Like she has lower back injuries, leg injuries, knee injuries, like everything that you can pretty much imagine. She's like, by the way, I have that. I was like, all right, cool. But it also warms my heart a bit because I always want somebody to feel like they have a chance, right? So I'm not going to back down from a challenge of learning how to be better with somebody. And so when we go through our program and the way that we do our workouts, everything is made so that you can move better. Like I'll give you an example with the, with the sprinter lunges, right? I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever done sprinter lunges in your life. I'm sure, probably not. But the purpose isn't just how do we fry your front leg and make sure that like you walk silly when you get out of the door here, right? The whole point too is that we're really exaggerating that range of motion when we come down. Like the difference between coming like right here and then opening all the way up requires so much more effort on your part and to be strong in our hips, in our quad, and to be very flexible, right? And so Nicole, for example, the first time that she did the sprinter lunges, she could barely go down like even a little bit. Like it was, I'm talking about she was coming here and it was a struggle to come right back up, right? And instantly, okay, cue in my mind, we need to figure out how to get her stronger through that range of motion. Because also think of it like this. If you're if you're walking outside and you like trip for some reason, how many times do you trip and you just go like, oh, like you hop forward? No, like it's a big ass step. You like fall forward right there. The same thing, if we have that power and that ability to like fall forward and catch ourselves and build that strength through that range of motion, the chances of you also getting injured from a day-to-day thing goes down significantly, right? And so those things, like everything we do here will translate to having a stronger life outside of the gym. And that's why I put that emphasis on like the gym might not be your entire life, right? That's perfectly fine. It's mine and Sean's at this point. We don't have a choice anymore. But like it should be a part that goes into every bucket of your life outside of here. That's why it's more than just a workout. It's more than just like a fun group session, a fun time in here. Like this is where you start to make that difference in your lifestyle and that change, right? And so with her, we designed some specific targets that we're going to hit, some ways that she's going to move, some ways that she's going to go about stuff, things for us to keep our mind off of, especially when it comes to opening up our hips, working through. If you have injuries like that, also you tend to have built up scar tissue. And what really sucks about that is that the only way to really open up that range of motion is to kind of break that scar tissue and let it relax. So Nicole's been an absolute dog when it comes to being in here. Like I don't think I've seen anybody suffer quite as much as she has with a smile. And I'm talking about like on a step up, it might take her 5 seconds to step all the way up, but the entire time she does not give up. She doesn't stutter on it. She just pushes through, and I'm just there to make sure that she's all right. And now it's only been 5 weeks. It's only been 5 weeks. Now she's doing full range of motion on the step ups, almost with like, so there's still a little bit of pain there, but she's able to do it way faster with the sprinter lunges and everything. She's able to get down. We're opening up all those muscle tissues. We're getting ourselves in that range of motion. We're getting lower into everything we do. And we're making sure that we're doing it in a safe environment too. Because the other thing is we never want you guys to feel like oh shit, I'm going to hurt myself when I do this, right? I know Monica's also a good example of this too. I mean, we've worked on your squat now for what? Like the past 3 months-ish? Give or take 3-4 months. And now it's like, we started off with a plate and a PVC pipe, just doing body weight, right? And so the functionality of where we're able to move, right? Those are things we want to look at, especially when it comes to progress as well. I know that scale is hard to not think about, especially at the end of the week when we step on it. But also consider all of these things. How are we able to move better than we did last week? Right? And so now she's having a good time. She's even coming to me saying that she has like this energy where she comes home and now annoys her kids versus like the opposite. Because they're like, whoa, you're supposed to be tired. You're supposed to go down. And she's like, no, I'm ready to rock. So we're going to go into some of our pillars right here. Remember, this is all about the programming and what we do in here as far as the workouts, right? So we're building functional strength for a better life. The word like functional fitness is a really interesting term because like technically anything you do is going to be functional, right? So we want to put the emphasis on how does this translate into what you do outside of work, whether your job is lifting boxes, chasing after kids, whatever it is. I know we have a client, Jillian, who says that she has to sometimes like put the kids in like a hold and she's like, I can hold them now. This is pretty cool. So finding out where we're getting stronger, right? So again, power movements. We prioritize strength that translates directly into daily activities, long-term health. Efficient programming. Our 3-day system maximizes strength development while minimizing time commitment. And the foundation movements. We focus on functional patterns, right? So we don't look at things as, oh, we're going to work out our chests, or we're going to work out our biceps, or we're going to work out our back. Like those are part of it, right? Like when we're coaching you guys, we're saying this is the muscle group we're going to do. And we're always going to tell you exactly where you should be feeling it, right? So we build ourselves better. But we don't just focus on that. I don't think you guys are in here to be bodybuilders, right? I don't think that's on our agenda. Not yet. We'll see. Maybe one day. They have. I think that's called the Masters Division. Yeah. Hey, it's never too late, right? And since we're not focused on just getting like super shredded and like, you know, bringing out everything in that kind of like beauty pageant-esque way, what we're focused on is moving well. We have our patterns right here, and I know we talked about it in the last slide, but I'm going to go over it a little bit right now. It's like we have our squat, our hinge, our push, our pull, our single leg stuff, or our single like limb stuff, and then our locomotion, which is like our sprints, like anything that we're doing that requires movement through a plane of space. And the reason that we do that is because if we get a good squat down, like a squat pattern down, we should never really be hurt when we're doing some with squatting. If we're really good at hinging and doing those hinge motions, like our deadlifts, our good mornings, our kettlebell swings, stuff like that, then we're able to reinforce our lower back, our posterior plane, and we're going to get a lot less pain back there. This is kind of an open question, right? If you've noticed that as you've been working out, you've been feeling less pain in areas like your back or like your like upper back and stuff like that. Like, has that been something that you guys have been experiencing?
I've never really had much lower back pain, but I have noticed that I am more like just like lumbar ankle stretch. Like you mentioned, just like fitting over time and shoes, like that's a lot easier. Just things like that.
Awesome. And that's in part like I don't know if you guys have ever heard this before, where you say like, oh, don't stretch before a workout, like stretch afterwards. I don't know if that rings a bell at all. But the whole idea is like, if you just do stretching for the sake of stretching, it's like you don't necessarily gain strength through that movement, right? So like if I'm just always going down and touching my toes, it's like, yes, we might get more loose to touch our toes over time, being able to like lengthen those muscles and like let them relax. But we don't get the benefits of like being stronger from there. Like if we just stretch and we pick something up, we'll be still as weak as if we didn't stretch, right? Versus if we're doing like RDLs are a good example. Those can actually like be pretty similar to like tying our shoes because we're coming down. That's like, oh, if you have like all the weight and you're able to come up, it's like you're building all those muscles to move through that. And if we're strong in those positions, we're able to get into them a lot easier and a lot better with a lot less effort, right? And that's kind of the whole point, right? So let's move forward. Now, I know this is what we wanted to hammer on, right? So the pillar 2 from this is the recovery. So we hammer home really strong on the fitness, the exercises, all that stuff, right? The way that we go about it. The second part is the recovery. How I want us to look at this is like a pie chart, right? If we're just looking at these two things, fitness and recovery, the workout itself is probably going to be like 33%. The recovery is going to be the other 66%, right? So how we go about these, I know if you were in the session after Sean talked about this a bit, or before this, is we have our active recovery, our sleep optimization, our stress management, and our nutrition support, right? So active recovery, this is a fun one, sometimes a buzzword, but basically this is all of the workouts, stretching, foam rolling, riding a bike, going on walks, all that kind of stuff that you do outside of the gym, right? We want to stay loose. We want to stay limber. That's why I always recommend, if you can, go on walks on your days out of here, right? Just go on like even if it's just a 10-minute walk, go on a walk, loosen yourself up, keep our body moving. Movement is medicine. That's like a really big thing that we want you guys to focus on, is always keep our body in motion if we can. Because I can guarantee you, if you do a workout here and then let's say the next day you're just at home, like sitting on the couch, you're probably gonna be super tight and you're gonna be a little more sore and all that stuff. But I don't know if you've noticed this, like you've done a workout, you've been sore, you come in here sore, but like as you get through the workout, you're actually like, oh, I don't feel as bad, right? That's basically a super low intensity version of getting that same feeling, right? And we can get some extra activity on top of it. And so that is a really great way. Ways to do active recovery are like going on walks, riding a bike. If you like swimming, light swimming. You could do like a really like mobility routine of like stretching, movement, yoga, that kind of stuff. I don't know, Sean, if you have any other recommendations. I mean, the list could go forever, I guess.
Could go on forever. Ideally, it's like something that you're passionate about. I mean, you do like any type of sport activity in like a light, fun way. I mean, like recreational sports, like volleyball, pickleball, basketball, stuff like that. That counts as active recovery.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're super sore or you haven't been working out,
Body moving, like that works.
That's me.
Yeah.
yeah. Just make sure that you squatting not that It's like that lower back.
Is that's an active recovery or
Yeah, like anything like that, even cleaning the house. Like the whole goal of active recovery is just to not stay there and like be stiff, right? Like there's quote unquote like optimal versions of it, of like how do we bring up maybe our cardio or something like that. And that goes more into like the endurance space and stuff, like what zone 2 training is. I do a lot of that for triathlon, where it's like it's super low intensity. My heart rate's only at like 130, I think max is what I'm allowed to do, or 140. And so it's like super low, but you're going through the motion right there. And that's a whole different system of like how to build up like an endurance engine for yourself. But anything like that, anything that just like you can do, you're moving your body, and you can also have like a full-blown conversation. Like if I'm doing something like that, active recovery, I have a hard time being in silence. I like to talk a lot, if you guys can't tell. I'll call somebody and they'll be like, are you doing something? I'm like, yes, I need this conversation. So I'm going to talk to you and you're not allowed to hang up. So anything that you can do like that works perfectly fine, right? Now we work onto the sleep optimization right here. So we have like our strategies for this. We have our sleep reference guide. It should be in your Kahunas app already on how to improve sleep and why that is going to be like one of your best tools for recovery. Also for weight loss or fat loss too. How I want you to think of sleep, right, is not just, oh, we're resting, or like, your phone where it's like, oh, like if I just plug it in for the night, it charges. Yes, that's part of it, right? But I have a little analogy I like to use is like the tiny mechanic. I'll use my past work experience as an example. When I was a mechanic at the Bach plant, like we had this one big machine called the corrugator. It literally just got like 2 pieces of paper and then stuck them together, and then that made the cardboard, right? And so that thing would run 24 hours a day, 5 days a week. So half the time I'm there just waiting for something to break and I'm just watching it. That's kind of like how your body is as you're awake. It's just, your body is just there putting Band-Aids on stuff when it can, trying to make recovery where it is. But at the end of the day, it's like you're using energy, you're doing a lot of output, like you're kicking more stuff out than you are bringing stuff in, right? When you sleep, it's like when the crew goes home and then the mechanic's by himself. That's where you got to start to work on the big jobs. You're really starting to bring things together. You're really starting to fix stuff, make everything connect, like move smoother. You're changing things on it that need to be changed out. And, if every single week this machine requires a lot of work, but we only get 5 hours on Sunday, like you're not going to get a whole lot of stuff done. That's the same thing as like, hey, you worked hard, you bust your ass the entire day, but you're only giving yourself like 4.5 hours of sleep, right? You're not giving yourself the time to work on all of those big projects, right? And that's where sleep is a really important thing. And to nerd out a bit on sleep, it's like you have all of your cycles of like light sleep, deep sleep, REM sleep, all that stuff. You want to make full cycles of our sleep. So it's super important that we have like an unbroken chain of like 8-9 hours. Like the minimum that we recommend is 6. If that's like your cutoff point where, hey, this is legitimately the only way that I can do this is get 6 hours of sleep, then that's where we're just like, okay, that should be the cutoff. If you have to make any changes before that, go ahead. But we want to give that mechanic as much time as possible because your recovery, making those repairs, making sure that your body's able to recover itself, right? Flush out all of the essentially toxic stuff that's in your brain. That's where all that comes into play, right? And so like melatonin, I'm probably going to get this wrong, Sean, so you're going to correct me when you need to. But it's like when you take melatonin, all that's doing is like aiding in your ability to fall asleep, right? Like,
And stay asleep.
Yeah. And so as you sleep and everything like that, like that will flush out, you wake up, and then your body starts to store it again until you're able to like go to rest, and then it goes again. When you take the supplement, it just adds more to it. Caffeine, it negates those receptors, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So when you take caffeine, it like stops those receptors from being able to receive like the melatonin to help you go to sleep, right? So that's why if you take caffeine like super late at the night, you're like, oh, I can't go to sleep. It's not just because, oh, I took caffeine. It's because you're literally stopping your brain from having the connection that it's like, I'm tired, let me go to bed, right? So things we can do to improve our sleep that are super simple is like not have caffeine 6 hours before bed. That's a tough one for me. That's where I fall flat a lot of the time because I'm like, let me just slam an energy drink, work on something. Next thing you know, it's like 2 a.m. I'm like, So that's a big one. If you can, there's back and forth research on this that it's like, hey, turn off any electronics like an hour before bed. The reason isn't necessarily just because of the blue lights, which is like a really big thing because I don't know if you saw the same study where it said it's like the blue light, yeah, it could like disrupt your sleep, but more than likely it's that you're just distracted and like stimulated to look at something. So even if you have a show in the background, it might be better to help you fall asleep, just depending if that makes it easy for you. Like people in New York City, for example, like if somebody from New York City moves out to the country, they have an extremely hard time sleeping because there's no noise, right? And you have to get that white noise machine. So whatever works like that, but try not to be on like TikTok or Instagram, like scrolling through stuff, because every single time you go to a new one, that's like a new rush to your brain, and you want to stay awake even longer, right?
And a lot of the services now, Audible, Netflix, YouTube, all that kind of stuff, that has timers on it. So you can set like a 30, 35-minute timer, so that way once you like fall asleep, whatever that stuff turns on for you.
So that's what we want to like look at, right? What's up, Maui? Take a seat. So, hola, señor. Mauricio. So that's one of the things we want to focus on with our sleep, right? Is making sure that we do everything we need to for that. There's always stuff like making sure we have a cold room. I always like to keep it like 68 around my house, and even then, like I still get really warm. But finding a cold room helps you go to sleep faster, all that stuff. And then too, like reading a book if you want to. I try every single night. I'm like, I'm gonna read, and then I get to like a page and a half, and I pass out. I'm like, well, that was not really effective. So I've gone from like improvement books to just stories because I'm like, I can afford not to remember this. That's all right. But by doing those things, like super simple, can improve your sleep a lot. Because what we're trying to do again is to fall asleep quick and stay asleep for a long time. I know that I'm actually a little upset because I ran out of my sleep supplement. And I've been taking that religiously, like every single night. And so I use that especially to help me go through my full cycles, like stay asleep. It has the magnesium citrate. Was it?
I think it's
I don't remember if it's theanate or citrate, but it has the magnesium in it, the melatonin in it, along with all the like different mix of roots and everything like that to help you out. And I've always been very skeptical because I've taken melatonin before. I've taken just straight magnesium glycinate before, and I'm like, like I feel all right. I feel like a difference, but that the mixture and everything like that did help me out a lot. I don't think we have any. I think, yeah. So there goes that label. But sleep is arguably one of the biggest things you need, right? Because let's say that our nutrition is bad for a week, or let's say that like we just don't do anything for active recovery. We just do our workouts and do stuff. Like if we don't sleep well for a week, you're gonna feel like shit. Like it doesn't matter which way you cut it. Like you're not gonna go like a week straight of like 4 hours and be like, I feel like I'm in tip top shape. It's just not gonna happen, right? So like double, triple, 10x down on getting your sleep into a good rhythm. And like I said, you should have the resources for like a good sleep hygiene and habit in your Kahunas app. So access that, take a look at it, and then go through it. So after we're done with that one, we're gonna go into stress management. That's always a tough one. Life is just stressful. Things just happen. It's, control what you can, let go of what you can't. That's like the big differentiator, right? So what we want to do with this one is find outlets that work best for you. Maybe it's the gym, maybe it's in here, right? I will always preach that we are not therapists. This will probably feel really good, but if you have things that require actual therapy, we recommend you going talking to an actual therapist, right? But use this as a stress reliever. I know I did sports the majority of like my childhood simply because I wanted to be out of the house and out of like stressful situations, right? So fitness has been an outlet for me for such a long time that even like my lady will notice now if I go like a week or whatever without working out, she's like, you need to go fucking do something because you're annoying me now. So that is a really big thing, right? And finding out what's causing the stresses to happen, right? Is it something that you can control, or is it something that's completely out of your control, right? If it's something that's in your control, we start to take steps to either eliminate it, get away from it, or change it, right? If it's something that's not in your control, that's where it takes a lot of patience and a lot of like self-reflection and understanding to be like, this isn't my responsibility anymore. Like this isn't something that I can hold on to. So what can I do to try and let go of it? And like that whole art of letting go is difficult. It's something that I've been trying to practice on for like 5 years. And I think I've gotten better at it over the time, but by no means am I like those like the Japanese wizards that are just like, oh, everything is what it is. Like, no, I still have my moments. I think my lady saw me get road rage for the first time in like 3 years. She's like, I didn't even know you're capable of that. And I was like, sometimes neither do I. But learning how to just deal with it and let go is a process. And really the thing that I do that works best for me is when something happens and I know that no matter what I do in that moment, it's not going to change it. I just zoom out a lot. I say, okay, well, like in 15 minutes, am I going to care? Maybe I will, maybe I won't. If I do, okay, in like an hour, am I going to care? Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Zoom out again. In like a year, am I going to care? No, I'm not going to remember at all, right? And sometimes you have to zoom out like 20 years and be like, listen, I got a lot of life I want to live. I'm not going to let this be in the way of like what I need to do, right? And so just continuously zooming out and having that conversation with yourself goes a very long way. And then lastly, nutrition support. So there's a woman that I watch a lot of her Instagram reels of and TikToks. Her name is Kelsey Plum or something like that. No, that's the NBA player. Kelsey something. I can't remember her last name. She talks a lot about athletic nutrition, mostly just nutrition for athletes. But there's a parallel there that works for everybody in here, right? Is if I gave you guys a key to like a race car right now, and I was like, hey, like, I need you to go like pump fuel for it, go. And you just go to the gas station and put regular 86 gas in it and bring it back. It's going to perform terribly. Like it's going to go 0 to 60 and like never. The engine's probably going to blow up, and or probably like spend all this money to buy like a new race car and piece it together, right? But if you go and then you get the proper fuel, like that thing is going to streamline fast. It's going to do everything it needs to do, everything it's meant to do. The same thing is with you and your nutrition. If you just fuel yourself with the bare minimum, you're just like, this is just something to eat. This is something to fill in the time. I have the stuff at the house. I have the meal prep at the house, but McDonald's is down the road right here, and I really just want to crave something like a cheeseburger. It's like, cool. Well, you're going to feel like the cheeseburger. You're not going to feel good, and your results are going to show differently in here, right? And this is beyond just the weight loss. Like a good saying that I heard from that lady specifically is like she had an athlete come in and they're like, every time before a game I go and I eat Taco Bell and I perform fine. Like I'm still scoring like 20 off the bench. I'm getting rebounds. Everything's going good. And she's like, okay, cool. Imagine what you would do if you actually fueled yourself properly. And then after a short amount of time, it's like, sure enough, he was playing way better once he cleaned up his diet. Like the results of weight loss aren't the only metric we're going after, right? It's not the only data point we're looking at. And so we want to make sure that we're going across the board about how well do we feel? What are we doing to make sure we're feeling the best we can, right? And an interesting thing that I think I have almost with everybody, or the conversation I have with almost everybody at some point, is like, oh, I didn't know how much better I would feel, right? Because you've been at this baseline of like being in pain, feeling bad, like not having a ton of energy, like that's been your baseline. So rather than thinking like, oh, I feel bad, you're like, this is just how I feel. So I don't know any better. This is what I've been dealing with, right? And once you start to feel better, you start to fuel yourself properly and get more out of it, then that's where you start to notice like the difference, right? That's the difference between like driving I used to drive a town car. I had a 2000 town car. I still love that thing to death until the crackheads broke into it and tried to steal it. I was pretty upset that day. But that's the difference between like driving that town car and being like, this'll do. Like, it's fine. I think it's pretty smooth. And then driving like a 25 like Lincoln Navigator off the lot. And you're like, this is what smooth feels like, right? Like we might be operating at that town car, just bumpy as shit. And like the windows don't go down by themselves. And we're like, all right, like that's all right. I can live with this. But we want to be that navigator, just smooth sailing, everything's cool, AC blows cool. That's where we want to be at. And your nutrition is going to play almost every factor in that when it comes to your performance in here, right? So that was a pretty big deep dive in like in recovery and all that stuff, because I know we had a lot of questions on it. So let's move on to our next one. So let's rethink our training frequency. We're going to think quality over quantity. I know, I harp on you guys that it's like 3 times a week is enough, right? And we have these semi-calm arguments of like, well, I want to work out more, I want to do more. But the whole understanding is like, we also want you to buy your time back. More than likely when you're coming in here, you've spent a lot of your time already trying to get fit and it hasn't worked out for you, right? So we get super eager and excited that it's like, well, if I spent 6 years trying to get in shape and then after these 5 weeks or these 2 months, I started to really see results, what if I just push it further, right? And that's logically a really good thing because it's like, okay, we want more, do more. More volume equals better results. It has to be. But realistically, like more time in the gym doesn't always equal better results, right? It might just be wasted time, wasted reps, wasted potential. So what we want to do is just focus on the intensity of your sessions. Make sure when you come in here, every single time, you hit it hard. You give everything you can. You leave it out on the mats. That way, when you're done, you're like, I put in a really good effort. All right, I'm proud of the work I did. I'm proud of what I accomplished. And then let the programming guide you through it. Right? Everything is meant to roll one into the other, so we're always getting stronger, right? So those planned progressions are way better than, what you guys said in the beginning of going to like a Planet Fitness and just winging it for like 5-6 days in a row, being like, I'm gonna go on the treadmill for like 10 minutes, and you're actually on there for an hour. So we like allow yourself to relax. Trust that process. Do those 3 times a week. I think I might be a little biased when I say this. I think that everybody that's coming here 3 times a week has gotten damn good results. And nobody has been coming in like 6 times. And we have no plan of that happening, right? So let's go into it. So the power of our approach, the 3-day training approach, is just offer optimal stimulus. That's why we do full body. That's why we might be a little banged up, especially if we do like back-to-back workouts. But that's because we do full body every single day. We're trying to hit everything at least 3 times a week, and that's gonna be the best for muscle growth, right? Sufficient recovery. You have almost like 36 hours of recovery if you split it up like properly. So you have a ton of time to stretch, recover, and like get through things, right? And then a sustainable schedule. If you're only working out 3 times a week, your life should have a lot of priority in it, right? You're not sacrificing a ton to come in the gym. We're making it accessible so that you have that time outside of the gym to use what you're working in here for, right? So you're not just coming in here just for the sake of coming in here, only showing off now. And then it's the minimum effective dose we have for the maximum results. We try to figure out what's the least amount of times you can come in to work out to get the most results. And 3 times a week is what we found. If you only came in 2 times a week, you'd still get results, but they might not come as fast. And we still want them to come pretty fast, right? Isn't that right, Maui? So we have our success story of Monica. I was waiting for this to happen. So Monica came with us. Monica's been kind of on and off training with us for quite a while now, like back and forth. And in the beginning of the business, she was one of the first people to actually sign on and join, right? I know we had always had conversations. And during this, she was also on her journey post bariatric surgery and post being or starting GLP-1s, which is an Ozempic, Wegovy, that kind of stuff, right? And so there's 2 things that we wanted to make sure that didn't happen to her, right? Is that she didn't rebound like crazy when she came off of the GLP-1, which she has now and done a damn good job at keeping all the weight off. Because like most people will not fix their habits, will not fix what's actually broken. They just take a drug and they're like, I'm just gonna figure it out. That's not what we want to do. Everything is planned. Everything has a strategy, right? And so by making sure everything we talked about, the program is fine, the nutrition fine, our sleep is getting better, all that stuff that we're working on is coming together, we've been able to like undercut it by a lot, right? And then the second thing is that we're getting positive muscle growth and shows improvements in our strength, right? Like a big thing, especially with those GLP-1s, is like people lose a lot of muscle mass. They become frail. And the one thing we didn't want is for you to do this entire journey just to be like, walking with bones of glass, right? And so we really focused, and she was a big tester when we started all of this programming and everything like that. And honestly, this is me being very honest right now, is like seeing Monica being able to do the programming that we do gave us the confidence to be like, okay, we got to go full bore with this. So she has been an absolute stud. And so like after 3 months with us, she's improved in both categories and beaten the average, which is technically 11.6% body weight gained back after coming off of the drug, post GLP-1, and also the weight gain when it comes to the bariatric surgery. So she's on like a battle on 2 fronts, and she's kicking the shit out of the opposing side, like on every single one. So yeah. So what this means for your enhancing your journey is like just understanding, again, why we do the things we do. I hope you got a little bit more clarity on like the reason we do everything. I know I've been nerding out on here for like a little bit. And to also reinforce it is like, trust the process. You will get frustrated. You will get tired. You will get bored at times. That's all right. That's the cost of getting better. It's not a side effect of this. It is the cost of trying to improve. Sometimes we hit our lows. Sometimes we have bad weeks. Sometimes we come into a workout and we're like, this really doesn't feel like it's doing anything. That's okay. Keep on pushing forward. Clear expectations, right? You set the example for yourself, and you also have that belief for yourself, right? So being able to have that clear vision. I know we're very vision focused here. That's going to allow you to really understand, okay, how am I going to go about this? And for you guys to give us, you know, the clarity that you need. And then community connections. I think everybody in here has become somewhat friends with each other. If not, you guys kind of like actually like bust each other's balls during the workout, like talk shit a lot. So I love it. And the one thing that we need from you guys is to really like unlock your potential of your ability to believe in yourself. Because it doesn't matter how much of a cheerleader I am, how much of a cheerleader Sean is, even how much the other clients are, right? If you're not able to have that belief in yourself, it's gonna be really hard to get anywhere, right? So, you know, if we're to break this down into a thing, like the training program is only like 10% of the puzzle, right? The nutrition, I'm still putting that at like 30%, and our recovery is at like 15%. But the rest of the pie right here, that's gonna be our mindset. We need to work on that day in and day out. And the best way to go about that is to keep on pushing when it's hard, right? So keep believing in yourself. And sometimes you don't even have to believe in yourself in the moment. You just have to believe in the fact that we believe in you, all right? So seeing your true potential looks like this: a mindset shift, embracing the challenges we throw at you, clarity of the vision of understanding where you want to go, and then that community support. The best way is having a good support system around you. If you don't have one at home, that's all right. We got a damn good one in here, and I believe in that. And now, what I want us to think of this is like just putting on glasses. I never wore glasses in my life, but the closest thing I have is those nose strips so I can breathe. So when you're trying to make a change, it's like not wearing your glasses. You're just kind of like in the dark, and you're just like, I see these shapes. I understand where I should be going. Like I have a general understanding of the stuff around me, but I don't 100% get it. And as soon as you have someone like us to guide you in that, that's like putting the glasses on. It's like, okay, boom, we have the roadmap. I know where I want to go. I know what I want to get out of it, right? And so, like we said, this process is individual to each one of you guys, right? Like the same thing that Monica's doing, Andrea isn't going to do like 100%. Same thing Andrea's doing, Heidi, you're not going to do 100%, right? You're all individuals in here. That's why we spend the extra time with you guys to make sure that you're 100% set on your path, all right? And now, this is a time for an open discussion. I know I pretty much took up most of the time right here. We started like 5 minutes late, so I think a good 10-minute buffer is good. So if you have any questions at all, now is a good time to bring them up. There's nothing that's off limits except for my social security number. It's, I think that goes without saying. So if there's anything you have, by far, rack them off.
So, okay, recovery.
Yes.
I've gotten the sleeping down.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten recovery down. My big thing is like, I'm not always, I say I'm not active, but you said house cleaners, cats.
Mm-hmm.
I'm afraid I mean, that's seriously, personally, my room has to be cleaned up before I can lay down and comfortably go to sleep.
Yeah. So if that's a part of like your daily routine, like I'm sure that does help. Now it might not always be like super deep clean. I mean, I don't know, but like, anything that you're gonna like just break a slight sweat into. Like I know like when I clean the house and I'm like, okay, we're gonna do a deep clean today. Like I put on the headband and everything. Like I'm getting at it. It's work. It's not like easy. So like something like that is perfectly fine. And like if you have the dogs too, I don't know if you take them on walks or anything. Like they're house dogs. They like to just sit.
I have a 4.5 pound dog. How much? We walked from here to there and he's got enough exercise for the day.
So that's like, yeah. So, but yeah, that's a good way to consider.
But then again, at work, I'm pretty active.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, having an active job helps also as well. If you're walking around a ton or all that stuff. The office jobs are where it gets very difficult when you're sitting for like 8 hours a day. That's where it gets a little tough. And I always recommend if that's something like on your lunch break or whatever, like just like take a lap, like walk around a little bit if you can. We do have some clients that do that now, whether it's like on one of their lunch breaks or both of them or whatever. They just go on like a short 10-minute walk. Mm-hmm.
And then I have a timer every 15 minutes. My brain prompts me to stand up.
Okay.
Because
Yeah,
you
my wife
focus
started
on
that.
like what you're working on, and so before you've been sitting for 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But
interesting research that was done is they took two groups of people. They had one group of people get up and walk around their desk or walk upstairs, downstairs, or whatever. And then they had another group do 10 bodyweight squats. And the group that did 10 bodyweight squats ended up having lower blood pressure. They had more like stress release from that because of the blood flow that happens. So instead of like shuffling around, getting up and actually like moving your body is showing through the science, like you're moving for less time, but you're moving more effectively and efficiently. So for desk workers, I'm actually changing my recommendation from take the stairs, walk around, to stand up every single hour and do 10 bodyweight squats and then sit back down. And that's having a significantly higher return on like what we're actually going for, which is keeping a metabolic rate going, your metabolism going, blood flowing throughout your body, feeling more alert, cognitively aware. So that was really interesting. So it's so easy, right? Your body wakes up, pop, and then you get back to work. Instead of walking away from your desk and your boss is like, what are you doing like every 10 minutes? Like you're getting up, walking around. So that's like a good, easy one, especially if you're super busy, right? You can't get up, right?
You can do that at the Gator? You're going to do that at the Gator? Oh.
I'm like, hold up, dog. All right, let's go. I have been trying to go like on, because I realized that from where like our office is, then like to the end of the lot and back, it's almost a mile. So I was like, okay, like that works. So I just move on. After each.
I can there you go. So we're lava's hot.
Yeah.
The lava's fire.
The floor is lava?
Floor is lava, yes.
So if you guys don't have any questions, that pretty much wraps up the workshop, but go for it. Well, yeah, so that's about it.
Questions?